In 1818, a young woman named Mary Shelley wrote a story that changed science fiction. Just, a little story about a monster you might have heard about, or a doctor, or the monster is the doctor. That's a whole nother discussion. In the story, she brings up the topic of just because you can doesn't mean you should. Today we're going to talk about why that matters to Christians. Hello and welcome to Geek Devotions, the show from devoted geeks who are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. I am Celeste and we are so glad that you have hit play today. Do us a favor, hit the like button, hit the share button, the subscribe button, all the things. Also check us out on all the social medias, but more importantly, don't forget that this weekend we are going to be at GeekCon. Not only are we going to be at GeekCon with a booth and a panel, we are having a Devoted Geek together Saturday night at Whataburger. Let's get into the devotion. Like we said in the intro, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein has the theme of just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. And we see a similar thought process in Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 6:12 says this, "All things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be dominated by anything." Paul is telling the Corinthians, look, you don't have to be slaves to the rabbinic law anymore. You don't have to follow all of these little bitty rules. But just because you don't have to do something doesn't mean that it's a good idea. And just because you can do something doesn't make it a good idea. Was it a good idea for Frankenstein to take body parts and sew them together and try to create a person? No, it was a terrible idea. Everybody got hurt, including the monster and Frankenstein. Everybody got hurt. But even with things that don't necessarily harm others, the last part of the scripture where it talks about not being dominated by something else really brings into perspective that Paul's not just talking about things that are harmful. He's talking about things that just aren't great ideas. Here at Geek Devotions, we talk a lot about balance. Balancing your life, balancing your geekdoms, balancing your faith. We're even, talking at the panel about balancing your faith with your fandom. We talk a lot about balance, but it's because it is so important to know how to balance everything in your life, whether it's work versus geekdom, whether it's budget versus geekdom, because some things are not cheap, guys. Whether it's making sure that the things that you're doing are not altering or inhibiting your walk with God. Sometimes that means being aware of how things affect us. We had a comment on a video recently, an older video, about a person who wanted to get into a particular fandom and they couldn't. They tried, but something in the fandom brought some things up in them and they just couldn't go to that place healthfully and it be okay. I've said this before, I can't handle scary stuff. To an extent, I can handle intense things, but there's a certain level of horror movies I just can't do because it causes issues in me. And I know that. Now, does that mean that it's wrong for everybody? Not necessarily. Is it wrong for me? Well, yes, because if I watch it, then I'm knowingly putting myself in a place where I'm not going to be okay, mentally or spiritually. Okay, guys, that was your devotion for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that it makes you think, because it's something that we think about a lot. Are we balancing things? Are we doing things that are good for us, or things that are just okay, or things that are just, it's acceptable, but really probably shouldn't be doing that. Just thought-provoking, attempting. So again, don't forget that we're going to be at GeekCon Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All 3 days. Sunday at noon, we have a panel, and then Saturday night, 8 p.m. 8 p.m.? I think it's 8 p.m. There's a Facebook event page. You should go check it out. After the con, we're going to be meeting up at Whataburger off of Burnt Coons, back across from Walmart in Piermont. So, if you're in town, you should come say hi. Come eat a Whataburger. Come get a French fry. Or just, show up and be like, what's up? It is now time for the question of the week. The week. Question of the week is this. What is some of your favorite science fiction? I love sci-fi. One of my favorites is Ender's Game because I feel like it's a great description of sci-fi in general. It makes you think, there's cool science, there's things that make thought-provoking, which is the same as making you think. Didn't think that sentence out. It's a lot of fun. Unwittingly, that movie was not, but that's another story. A whole nother story. Leave your comments down below. Also, we wanted to give a big shout out to all of our patrons who we love, who support us, and for just $1 a month, you can join with them and be cool. Not that you're not already cool, but you could be more cool.
Digging a hole!
Here at Geek Devotions, we want to make sure you understand that your ability to help support us on a financial basis is in no way related to your coolness. Celeste just made a mistake.
Yeah, I'm just gonna end it before I dig myself further into a hole. Y'all stay devoted.
Peace and love!